Property relations in society's economic activities serve as the foundation of the economy, defining the general rules of participation in social production and distribution of goods created by society. They also shape labor motivation, societal recognition, or rejection of the existing economic order as fair, the level of social tension, and the overall moral climate within a society. Definition of terms: property: a set of relations between people regarding ownership, use, and disposal of assets. Natural right to property: a person's right to the results of their labor, natural resources, and public goods. Distributed property rights: a system in which ownership rights can simultaneously belong to multiple entities. Legal subjectivity of the people: the supreme right of the people to property within a country, including natural resources and means of production. Project Link 369: a system for digital identification of property rights using distributed ledger technologies. In a harmonious society, all existing objects of property rights on planet Earth are classified territorially into universal, global, national, and territorial. The planet's natural resources are the common heritage of humanity and all other inhabitants of Earth. Particularly valuable and rare resources hold the status of World Heritage objects and are under the protection of the global community. The responsible and rational use of natural resources by people within national territories is carried out by the people's nations. While within administrative territorial units, it is managed by respective territorial communities. National heritage consists of the total material and spiritual resources, benefits, and values belonging to the people nation of a country, forming the basis of its sustainable existence and development. The heritage of territorial communities consists of material and spiritual resources, benefits, and values that belong to territorial communities and form the basis of their sustainable existence and development. Historically, property relations and their legal formalization evolve alongside the development of productive forces. However, one constant remains: the holder of supreme power in a country is simultaneously the supreme owner subject of property rights of all property objects within its territory, possessing the means including foresee to exercise authority over them. This governance and property relations model has existed since ancient times. Historically, supreme power has always belonged to a narrow circle of individuals or specific figures within a country. However, in modern times, supreme power is increasingly concentrated not within national elites but within international shadow structures that disregard state sovereignty. In this context, the establishment of popular rule and the assertion of the people's supreme status is the only way to preserve national sovereignty. In light of the above, it is proposed to build a system of property relations based on three fundamental economic principles: the principle of the people's and territorial communities' legal subjectivity, the principle of natural property rights, the principle of distributed property rights. Let's examine how these principles operate. The principle of the people's and territorial communities' legal subjectivity. This principle establishes the people of a country as the supreme owner and primary subject of property rights over the nation's natural resources and public means of production. Territorial communities act as legal entities within the scope of powers granted by the people. The people of a country as the primary subject of national self-governance, through their supreme authority over all individuals, will directly or indirectly govern all resources within the country, including means of production of all economic entities, setting the rules of use, taxation, etc. This will effectively socialize all means of production into a single national economy, incorporating them into the national heritage. Thus, the people will truly become the sovereign masters of the country's supreme owners, while all other owners will act as managers of their respective property objects. The status of an owner of means of production will primarily signify a person's responsibility for managing property for both personal and collective benefit. Ownership obligates. According to this principle, the natural rights to co-ownership of natural resources, personal property rights to the results of one's labor, and collective ownership rights over what is created through joint labor are recognized unless otherwise stipulated by contract. Ownership of the results of one's labor is a natural right that requires no justification, just as natural human rights to life and freedom these are granted by nature. Initially, property existed as a product of labor, with individuals appropriating the results of their work. This natural state was disrupted with the rise in labor productivity, which enabled the appropriation of others' labor products through force or deception. This principle implies the division of ownership rights among multiple property entities. It provides a flexible legal framework for regulating the diverse property relations that arise from the implementation of the first two principles. The concept of distributed property rights can be traced back to the history of derivatives and the mere property of promissory notes, serving as guarantees of profitability and revenue for different types of property. Today, a decentralized system of digital virtual assets exists, often speculated upon due to trust in the primary participants of collaborative dynamic funding projects for digital asset circulation. Additionally, modern banking has introduced multiplex accounts of financial reflection of distributed ownership as a contemporary mode of property relations. Project Link 369 Digital Identification of Property Rights. Project Link 369 aims to establish a transparent and secure property accounting system using blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. This allows for preventing fraud and manipulation of property rights, ensuring trust among market participants, simplifying processes of property transfer, inheritance, and management. In 2025, the modern paradox of hidden relationships, referred to as the investment of a secret global influence entity and the state's ownership rights over its citizens, will face a decline in influence. On one hand, citizens are migrating to more socially lenient countries, seeking better integration and opportunities. On the other hand, public political circles are calling for stricter control over the circulation of mineral and food resources. This shift exposes the long-standing reality that what was once considered an open market has, in fact, been a system of covert collusion against indigenous peoples. Conclusion: under these principles, a mixed economy functions in a harmonious society combining private, mixed, territorial, public, and state management elements with market mechanisms. The classification of property forms, aligned with the proposed three economic principles, can be represented as follows: private, communal, and national. Property management by authorized individuals should occur through public procedures, adhering to the principle live and let live.